Hi, and welcome to Coach Jude at Rangi-Toto. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how to go about building a sustainable, healthy eating plan that supports attaining and maintaining a healthy weight. This isn't about telling you what to eat. It's about looking at how you eat now and figuring out what you actually need to change. The great news about this approach is it directs your efforts to the areas where you can achieve maximum impact instead of wasting effort on areas that are working just fine. As the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to be looking at what may be fairly small changes that can give great results. You eat things you really enjoy and cut out the things that really aren't that important to you. Building a healthy, sustainable eating plan that works for you and one you choose to follow is the cornerstone of any successful weight loss strategy. But from my work with various clients, folks seem to struggle with exactly how to go about doing this. In my free comprehensive guide to kickstarting your weight loss linked below, I provide lots of ideas, but the step that most people ignore is getting really clear on what they are doing now and what behaviours are taking them away from their goals, and also what behaviours are moving them towards their goals. Once you have a clear picture of this, you can identify what it is you need to change. Without this clarity, you might end up changing something you could actually hang on to, or hanging on to something that really isn't serving you. But just as important is being honest about what you're willing to change. Now, this is a biggie. If you really want to be fitter, leaner and healthier than you are now, you'll need to change some of the things that you do. Again, my experience with many people is they want their cake and eat it. Essentially, they do not want to really change the way they eat or how much they move, but they still want to become the person they've always dreamed of. The bottom line is you can't have both, but the choice is yours. You have to decide which is most important to you, and only you know this. The good news is the more clarity you have about what is getting in your way, the simpler these choices become, because they are specific, discreet, and often really subtle. Things that you won't really miss or feel deprived about if they're no longer part of your life. This is what I discovered when I went through this exercise. Small, imperceptible changes, basically tweaks to my diet, brought about massive results. Let's uncover your tweaks. The first thing then you need to determine is exactly where your overeating is coming from. Now, this may take two forms: excess amounts of food or more about what you're eating. You may immediately know where your problem areas are. It could be the latte and muffin from your favourite coffee shop that you have most days. It could be post-dinner snacking that you do, or it could be that your portion sizes have got out of control. If you have several like I did, then rank them in order of most damaging. So, for example, one of my habits was to have a chip and dip fest before my dinner every Friday night. However, this was far less damaging than me hoeing into the snacks left in the staff room every day. Now, if you're struggling to identify your overeating, then you may need to do an in-depth analysis and log all your food into an app for a couple of days to see exactly what's going on. However, it may be that you just need to look more closely at what you are eating, as some foods can be considered as overeating in any quantity. We all know what these are: junk foods, so-called because other than calories, they have little, if any, nutritional value. Or perhaps look at when you're eating. Snacks between meals are often easy targets. Now, the purpose of this exercise is not to eliminate all your overeating. It's to highlight the 20% that is causing 80% of your problems and focus your energies on changing the 20% rather than the more black and white approach of you're either eating healthily and trying to lose weight or you're not. There is a place in between. This is what I call the sweet spot, where you get to eat lots of foods that you love and have a healthy, lean body. Next, I want you to make 2 lists. I want you to list your favourite foods and separately list what I call danger food. Danger foods are the ones that once you start eating them, you can't stop. If your overeating does not involve foods in either of these lists, then this is the place to start changing because you will miss these the least. For example, the sweet stuff at work were not my favourite foods. I was eating them just because they were there, so I decided to eliminate this habit. My logic being that if I was going to eat less, I wanted every single mouthful to be food that I loved and not just also-rans. Make sense? Now, you may find that your overeating mainly consists of food you love and or your danger food. If so, then we have to develop special strategies to deal with them, which involves modifying your habits rather than eliminating them altogether. One strategy is to try to get more granular. So say your favourite food is cake. You won't love all cake equally. Some will be just okay, whereas others will be sublime. Figure out which cake you could let go of that will impact you the least and hang on to the cake that you really love. Another strategy is to reduce the frequency with which you indulge. So, for example, one of my favourite foods, danger foods, are roast potatoes. I love them. If I thought I could never have a roast potato again, well then Grumpy Jude would definitely be in the building. And when I had a roast dinner before I lost my weight, I could easily eat 10 pieces of roast potato at one meal. I know. To move forward, I needed to work out what the minimum number of roast potatoes I could have and still feel satisfied. It turned out I could just about manage on 3 pieces. Now, as this was also a danger food, I knew that if I made more than 3 pieces, I would eat them. So I only made 3 pieces for myself. When they were gone, and I was never going to be bothered to make more. So we now have got some clarity about where we need to make some changes to get the results we want. We know the what. Now we need to figure out the how. So as I discussed a few minutes ago, there are 2 basic strategies: eliminate or modify. Changes that don't involve your favourite food are going to be easier to implement. So if you can start with these, that's a good plan. Decide simply to eliminate these from your life. Commit 100%. Now, to begin with, this will feel a bit uncomfortable and it will take some effort. But if you stick with it for a few weeks, the desire to indulge will disappear, as long as the habit is specific enough and not too general or ambitious. And you have to choose to make the change. It's not because you should, but because you have chosen to. A very specific example, say, is giving up sugar in tea and coffee. When you first do this, it feels wrong. You really don't like it. But after a while, you simply don't notice. After a few weeks, if you accidentally put sugar in your tea, then it tastes disgusting, which just goes to show how quickly we adjust. So here's the lesson. Be prepared to struggle a bit at the beginning, but once you get used to your new habit or behaviour, it just becomes something you do. Think about how you're going to handle these uncomfortable feelings. An effective strategy is a mantra that you repeat to yourself in these initial uncomfortable moments. When I cut out eating the crap at work, I used to remind myself that I was saving my calories for the wine that I would really enjoy at the weekend. Not the healthiest of strategies in the world, but it worked. Essentially, I reminded myself what was really important to me. So if you're going to eliminate a damaging eating habit in your life, define not only what you're going to eliminate, but also define the circumstances as precisely as you can, as well as why you're doing this. Remind yourself of the benefits of the change, what you are gaining, so you can create a clear black and white intention. What you're trying to prevent is wriggle room, where you start to debate with yourself whether you want to do this or not. So one of my goals was to stop eating the crap in the staff room. That's the what, with the staff room being the context. The why was that I wanted to save my calories for the wine at the end of the week, which I enjoyed far more. If you want to modify a behaviour rather than eliminate it, it can be much harder because we tend to create more wriggle room. So for example, if you currently have a latte and muffin every day, and this is one of your favourite foods, then to modify this, it's better to say, I'm only going to indulge on a Friday, rather than say once or twice a week. With the latter, you will debate with yourself every day whether to have that muffin or not. That creates desire and takes energy and willpower, and it's exhausting. Whereas if it's not Friday, well, there's no discussion, argument or debate. It's not muffin day, so no muffin. This is much easier. Make sense? Probably though, the best thing to do is to eliminate one context. So if your favourite food is cake and you regularly have one at your favourite coffee shop on a work day, or as an after dinner treat, or when you visit family and friends, figure out which one you enjoy the most. Hang on to that and eliminate the others. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, but I don't know if I can change, ask yourself what will happen if you do. What will be different? Take the time to really reflect on this and figure out what you are afraid of, because this is what's going on here. Typically, it will be a version of, my life will be less without this food in my life. Think about what that means to you and then ask yourself, is it actually true? Now, you might need to get into Sherlock Holmes mode here and do some detective work and even some experimentation. For example, you could journal for a week about how you feel while you indulge in that muffin and latte. Then the following week, abstain and again journal how you feel. Monitor things like your energy levels, your motivation, whether you feel happy or sad. But to get the real picture of what's going on, you need to want to find out. If you go into this convinced that the week you abstain will be miserable, then it will be. So it is a little tricky. You have to approach this with an open and curious mind so that you really see what's going on and you don't assume what's happening. In one way, today's topic may seem really straightforward and almost too obvious, but figuring out the 20% of your eating habits that are taking you off track 80% of the time is a real game changer. By focusing our attention on this 20%, we can really get amazing results without having to make dramatic and possibly unsustainable changes. And that's what I call a win. Because I think that this is such a game changer, I've included a link to a workbook to provide a step-by-step guide to working through this process. And remember, if you need more ideas because you're just setting out on your weight loss journey, or perhaps you've stalled, check out the link below to my free comprehensive guide to kickstarting your weight loss. And on that thought, I will leave you. As always, I thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like this episode if you found it useful, subscribe if you want to learn more, and don't forget to share your progress, your triumphs and your insights. All the best. Until next time.